When Andrew first asked me to share my testimony with everyone, my immediate response was absolutely not. Right? I was like, no. You see, I had organized my life, in the short term at least, into neat little boxes of availability, and this unexpected, formless, terrifying request didn't fit neatly into any of those boxes. So I told him I needed a few days to think about it. A day or two later, while I was driving in the car and in between anxiety attacks, I had a realization. For much of my life, I've compartmentalized my existence into pockets of projects. In other words, in my mind, I'm not unlike the fixer-upper homes that we tourists seem to gravitate towards. There's potential there, but you need to use your imagination. My personality was the master bathroom where the toilet isn't quite bolted down, one of the sinks isn't hooked up, and I'm pretty sure that's black mold on the ceiling. My skills and abilities were the kitchen, functional, but badly outdated. And in all of these things, I was the sole workman. I was the carpenter, the plumber, the electrician, the interior designer, and right now I see my wife giving me side-eye because I don't actually do most of these things in reality. Honey, it's a metaphor. Getting back to it, in my mind, I believed I could bootstrap my soul towards salvation. When this invariably failed, guilt, shame, stress, and depression were the result. This was who I was. Luckily, 1 year ago, I discovered grace. Prior to that point, it was a word, a descriptor for a particularly elegant act or an individual. But in beginning to discover the true meaning and implication of that one syllable, I saw worlds. To be given not what I deserve, but instead to have the kingdom of heaven open to me, this isn't normal. There's a lack of logic here that itself is magical. When I heard that even my sin was redeemable, there is no end to his forgiveness, that no matter how often I forget and fall victim to my own pride, my own desire for control, organization, and power, no matter how often I determine to keep my own counsel, ignore his love, all I need to do is turn back towards him. In other words, I don't have to be my own carpenter anymore. Now you probably expect me to say something like, I've got Jesus for my carpenter. But I'm not going to do it. So don't even think about it. So I decided that even though I am so busy, and even though I felt like this was going to be some kind of wrench thrown into my already chaotic life, I determined that A, no one is that busy, just wake up earlier. And B, that this was an exercise in saying yes, in letting go of control, and believing that Andrew wouldn't have asked me if it wasn't important. Recently, I had lunch with a rich man, and we got to talking about life. And at one point, he explained that with the sale of his company years ago, he became a millionaire all at once. So it wasn't a gradual thing. It was just like middle class, millionaire. And I was just fascinated at what that felt like. And I asked him, what did it feel like to just all of a sudden be a millionaire? And I was expecting something like, it was amazing, I was so pumped, or I bought a yacht. But he just said, relief. That was all he said, one word. Relief from the day-to-day anxiety, from wondering whether you might lose your job or your house, or if you could afford the school for your children. And in that moment, I immediately saw this as an apt metaphor for Christianity. 1 year out from discovering Jesus, I can identify with the rich man's sense of relief. I and we no longer shoulder the burden of sin. Punishment for it will not be exacted upon us. There's no greater relief than this.
I love this service. None of those is planned. I have no idea what those testimonies are going to be. Just set it up saying this is the Bible and God's going to speak to us. Did you notice at the end of the reading how it ends? Singing, gratitude, joy. Maybe you come into this church, and we've had various friends who come in and it's like, man, you guys sing a lot. And this is why. How do you not sing? How is that not the inevitable response